Have you ever wondered what lengths someone might go to for success and the price they might pay? Watch this video to the end to find out. Today we journey into the heart of Lagos, where a salon owner is faced with a tempting secret. A secret that promises success but comes with a hidden cost. Welcome to Folktales by IJ. In the heart of Lagos, nestled between tall, shiny office buildings and bustling streets, was a small salon called Kemi's Crown. The owner, Kemi, was a passionate and hardworking woman, but lately her business was struggling. Day after day, Kemi sat in her empty salon staring at the door, hoping for customers. Weeks passed and fewer people came in to get their hair done. Kemi's fingers, once busy with braids and twists, were now idle. She couldn't understand why this was happening. Her skills were good and her prices were fair, yet her salon remained eerily quiet. One evening, after another long day with no clients, Kemi sat on the wooden bench outside her shop. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the busy street. She watched as women walked past her shop, many heading to larger, fancier salons. Her heart ached with frustration. Why is this happening? She whispered to herself. What am I doing wrong? As she sat there, lost in thought, a sleek black car pulled up in front of her shop. The door opened, and out stepped a tall, elegant woman. She wore a flowing dress and her hair was styled in long, thick braids that shimmered under the street lights. Kemi immediately recognized her. It was Madame Clara, one of Lagos' most famous socialites. Clara was known for her impeccable fashion sense and her flawless hairstyles. Wherever she went, heads turned and people whispered about her beauty. Madame Clara walked towards Kemi with a warm smile. "Hello, Kemi, right?" she said in a soft, soothing voice. Kemi nodded, surprised that someone as important as Madame Clara even knew her name. "Yes, madam, that's me. How can I help you?" Clara glanced at the empty salon behind Kemi and then back at her with a knowing look. "Business isn't going well, is it?" Kemi sighed deeply, unable to hide her disappointment. "No, it's been tough. I don't know why people aren't coming anymore." Clara smiled gently and took a seat next to her. "I have been watching you, Kemi. I have seen how hard you work, and I know you have talent. But in Lagos, talent isn't always enough. This city is full of competition. You need more than just skills to make it here." Kemi frowned, unsure of what Clara was getting at. "What do you mean?" Clara leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "There's a way to bring in more customers, Kemi. A secret that only a few of us know. If you want your salon to thrive, you have to be willing to do something." Kemi's heart raced. She was desperate for a solution, but something about the way Clara spoke made her uneasy. "What do I have to do?" she asked cautiously. Clara smiled slyly and leaned in even closer. "It's simple. The secret is in the hair. Every time you have a customer, you must cut a small piece of their hair without them noticing. At night, take that hair, mix it with your own hair, and weave it into your head. The more hair you collect, the stronger your power becomes, and the more customers will flock to your salon." Kemi's eyes widened in shock. "What? That sounds wrong." Clara waved her hand dismissively. "It's not wrong, Kemi. It's just business. Do you want to be successful or not? Look at me." She gestures to her thick, flawless braids. "Do you think I got all of this by being talented? No, I followed the same secret. And now I'm one of the most sought after women in Lagos." Kemi stared at Clara, torn between disbelief and curiosity. Could it really work? She had heard strange stories about people doing odd things for success, but this sounded extreme. Seeing the hesitation in Kemi's eyes, Clara stood up and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Think about it, my dear. If you want your salon to thrive, you have to make sacrifices. But trust me, the rewards are worth it." With that, Clara got back into her car and drove away, leaving Kemi standing alone in the faded light, her mind racing. That night, Kemi lay in bed, tossing and turning. Clara's words echoed in her mind. She knew it was wrong, But the temptation was strong. She had worked so hard for her salon, and she couldn't bear the thought of losing it. Her rent was overdue, and the bills were piling up. Desperation gnawed at her, and the more she thought about it, the more the idea began to make sense. The next day, Kemi decided to give it a try. She told herself that it was just one time, just to see if it would really work. Her first customer that day was an older woman named Auntie Funke, a regular at the salon. As she braided Auntie Funke's hair, Kemi's hands trembled. She waited for the right moment, and when Auntie Funke wasn't paying attention, Kemi snipped a tiny piece of her hair and slipped it into her pocket. That night, Kemi followed Clara's instructions. She sat in front of her mirror, her heart pounding. Carefully, she mixed Auntie Funke's hair with her own and weaved it into her own braids. As she worked, she felt a strange tingling sensation, like tiny sparks of electricity running through her scalp. It was unsettling, but at the same time, thrilling. The next morning, something incredible happened. Kemi's phone began to ring non-stop. Customers, both old and new, were calling to book appointments. By noon, her salon was packed with women waiting to get their hair done. Kemi couldn't believe it. Clara's secret had worked. Over the few weeks, Kemi's salon became one of the most popular in Lagos. She had more customers than she could handle, and the money started pouring in. Every night, she repeated the ritual, cutting small pieces of her clients' hair and weaving them into her own. With each new piece, her business grew, and so did her reputation. Soon, people from all over the city were talking about Kemi's crown. But as her success grew, so did her unease. Kemi began to notice strange things happening. Her hair, once thick and healthy, started to feel heavy and uncomfortable. It seemed to pull at her scalp, almost as if it had a life of its own. At night, she had vivid, disturbing dreams where she saw faces of her customers staring at her with empty eyes. Kemi dreamt that she was standing in the middle of a large crowd of women. All of them, her clients, they surrounded her, their hair long and tangled, reaching out towards her like a twisted vine. "Give it back," they whispered, their voices cold and accusing. "You took what wasn't yours. Give it back." Kemi woke up in a cold sweat, her heart pounding in her chest. She rushed to the mirror and gasped at what she saw. Her once beautiful braids had grown wild and uncontrollable, twisting and turning like snakes. Her scalp ached, and she could feel the weight of all the stolen hair pulling at her head. Snakes were even crawling out of her scalp. Panic set in. Kemi realized that she had made a terrible mistake. The success she had gained wasn't real. It was built on deception and dishonesty. The hair wasn't hers, and now it was fighting and haunting her. She had crossed a line, and she didn't know how to fix it. Desperate and afraid, Kemi tried to contact Clara, but the number she had been given to no longer worked. She even went to the places where she had seen Clara before, but it was as if the woman had vanished into thin air. People all over the street were scared of her. Some took pictures of her, some avoided her, as she was trying to look for Clara all over the place, because they were scared of the snakes that were crawling out of her. Kemi was left to face the consequences of her actions alone. The following days were unbearable. Kemi's hair grew more unruly, and the strange dreams became more intense. Her customers started to notice too, no matter how hard she tried to hide it. They whispered between her back, pointing at her hair, which no longer looked like the beautiful styles she was known for. Some avoided her because of the creeping snake crawling out of her hair. Slowly, they stopped coming to her salon, afraid of what they saw. One afternoon, as Kemi sat alone in her empty salon, a familiar face walked through the door. It was Auntie Funke, the first customer whose hair Kemi had taken. She looked at Kemi with kind but serious eyes. "Kemi, I've heard things," she said softly. "People are talking about what's happening here. Is it true? Did you take our hair without asking?" Tears welled up in Kemi's eyes as she nodded, unable to speak. She had been caught in her own web of lies, and now there was no escaping it. Auntie Funke sighed and took a seat. "Kemi, You've been a good girl. I've watched you grow from a young apprentice to a talented stylist, but you've lost your way. Success built on deceit will never last. It's time to make things right. Kemi wiped her tears, but the tears were still rolling. Ashamed of what she had done, she said, "But how? I don't know how to fix this. I've ruined everything." Auntie Funke reached out and took Kemi's hand. "You can start by letting go of the stolen hair." She prayed for her, and the snakes vanished. She told her to cut the hair off and start afresh. Remove the burden you've placed on yourself. And then you must apologize to the women whose trust you have broken. That night, Kemi stood in front of her mirror once again. But this time, she wasn't weaving anything into her hair. Instead, she picked up a pair of scissors and began cutting away the twisted, tangled mess that had taken over her head. At least she was grateful that there wasn't anything creeping out of her scalp anymore. As she cut, she felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. It was painful, but it was also freeing. Do you have any advice for Kemi? Let us know in the comment section. The next day, Kemi went to visit her customers one by one. She apologized sincerely, explaining the truth and asking for their forgiveness. Some were angry, but many were willing to forgive, understanding that desperation had driven her to make a terrible mistake. Slowly, Kemi's life returned to normal. Her salon wasn't as busy as it had been during her days of using the secret, but the customers who came now did so because they trusted her. They knew that Kemi no longer chasing shortcuts or easy success. She had learned her lesson the hard way. Kemi finally realized that true success does not come from deceit, but from honesty and hard work. She rebuilt her salon, focusing on what had made her great in the first place: her skill, her passion, and her dedication to her clients. And though it took time, her business grew once again, this time on a foundation of trust and integrity. I want to hear what you learned in the comment section. True success cannot be built on dishonesty. Do you believe that trust and hard work are far more valuable than shortcuts and deceit? It's important to always be true to yourself and to others, and success will follow in due time. Do you believe this, or do you have a different opinion? I want to hear in the comment section. Thank you for listening to our story today. Have you subscribed to Folktales by IJ? Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.